Why do the worst people seem to succeed? The liars, the manipulators, the selfish ones, the people who climb the ladder not by lifting others, but by stepping on them. It's a question you've probably asked yourself more than once, especially when you've done everything right and still felt like life keeps you small. Let me be brutally honest. The world doesn't reward goodness, it rewards power, and most people are too afraid to admit it. Friedrich Nietzsche saw it coming more than 100 years ago. He said, "The most perfidious way of harming a cause consists of defending it deliberately with faulty arguments." In other words, pretending to be good, moral, or kind, while secretly serving your own ego, is a strategy. And sadly, it works, because power doesn't belong to the most deserving. It belongs to the most willing, the ones willing to be hated, willing to act, willing to rise while others wait. That's the painful truth. You've been taught your whole life that good things come to good people. But look around. That's not how the world works. The world belongs to the bold, not the nice, and deep down you've felt that. Every time you've played fair and watched someone ruthless win, every time you stayed silent to keep the peace, while someone louder and less intelligent took control, every time you sacrificed and they took advantage. That's not weakness. That's programming. You were programmed to behave, to play small, to wait your turn, to not offend, to stay in line. But let me ask you something. How's that working for you? If you're honest, it's not. Because the ones who get ahead are the ones who understand this law. The world doesn't give you what you deserve. It gives you what you demand. That doesn't mean becoming evil. It means becoming powerful. There's a difference. Evil people succeed because they're unapologetic, because they don't hesitate, because they speak like they belong, because they don't ask for permission. And that confidence, fake or real, gets rewarded. So if you're sitting in silence, waiting to be noticed, understand this. No one is coming to save you. No one is going to hand you your voice. You must take it. The worst people don't win because they're smarter. They win because they're willing to be disliked. Are you? Because if your biggest fear is what will people think, then you've already given your power away. Nietzsche didn't believe in morality the way society does. He believed in will, the will to power, that raw internal force that refuses to be ignored, that primal energy that chooses to create its own values when the world's values don't fit. And here's the punchline. You have that will inside you, but you've buried it under layers of politeness, fear, and false humility. You think being humble means being quiet. That's not humility. That's fear dressed as virtue. You think being good means being agreeable. That's not goodness, that's avoidance pretending to be peace. And you think power is evil. But the truth is, power is neutral. It only becomes evil when used by cowards. And if the good people keep giving it away, what do you expect will happen? This is why the worst people win. Because the best people hide. They wait for approval. They ask for signs. They hesitate. But power doesn't wait. It moves. It speaks. It acts. So what now? Do you become like them? No, you become better than them. But not by being softer, by being stronger, by being clear, by being unshakable, because nothing in this world changes without confrontation. You're not here to blend in. You're here to disturb the system that told you to shrink. The moment you stop apologizing for your existence is the moment the game changes. You don't have to manipulate to win, but you do have to lead. You don't have to lie, but you do have to speak. You don't have to harm others, but you do have to stop harming yourself by staying small. The truth is, most people are not good or bad. They're just afraid. Afraid to live fully, afraid to be disliked, afraid to say, I want more. But fear is the gatekeeper of greatness. And if you never challenge it, you'll spend your life watching cowards play kings. The worst people don't ask, am I ready? They say, let's go, and that's why they win. They don't wait for courage. They manufacture it through action. And if you want to rise, you must do the same. Every time you take the high road, ask yourself, are you doing it out of strength or fear? Because silence is not always noble. Sometimes it's self-betrayal. And your goodness means nothing if it's never you. You were not born to be a background character in someone else's story. You were born to lead. But leadership doesn't begin with applause. It begins with discomfort, with choices that upset people, with lines that draw criticism, with the courage to be misunderstood. That's the price of real power. And if you want to own your life, you must pay it. This is not about becoming arrogant, it's about reclaiming what you've been hiding. That wild, unapologetic part of you that doesn't shrink when others shine. That voice that says, I deserve more. That energy that stops negotiating with fear and starts moving with purpose. The world isn't broken. It's just being run by the people who had the audacity to take it, and it's time you joined them. Not by imitating their darkness, but by unleashing your light with equal intensity. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not too emotional. You're not too intense. You're not too ambitious. You're just too awake to keep pretending. You're not here to be liked. You're here to be remembered. And you don't get remembered by playing nice. You get remembered by playing real, raw, relentless. So stop waiting to be picked. Pick yourself. Build your voice. Speak even when it shakes. Lead even when it's lonely, and rise even when it's terrifying. The worst people win because they decided they deserved it. The moment you do the same, the world changes, not just for you, for everyone watching. Maybe the reason you're stuck isn't because you lack talent. It's because you're still clinging to the belief that goodness alone will carry you. That if you keep your head down and do your best, someone will notice. But what if no one notices? What if your silence becomes your invisibility? What if your kindness becomes your cage? The harsh truth is, most people aren't rewarded for being good. They're rewarded for being loud, for being bold, for being relentless. And the worst people, they just stopped caring what others thought. That gave them freedom. The kind of freedom most good people never taste, because they're too scared to offend, too scared to outgrow, too scared to step into their own gravity. Nietzsche believed we must become who we are. Not who the world expects, not who society applauds, but who we are in our rawest, most dangerous, most divine potential. And becoming that person, it requires confrontation. It requires you to shed the layers that were never truly you. The masks, the manners, the fake smiles. It requires you to look at yourself and ask, am I being true or just being liked? You see, the worst people succeed not just because of their boldness, but because most people are asleep, dazed, distracted, following rules that don't serve them, waiting for a moment that never comes. But the bold create the moment. They don't sit in line, they build their own table. You're allowed to do the same. The reason this hits you so hard is because deep down, you know you've played it safe for too long. You've handed your power over in the name of not causing trouble. You've avoided conflict and called it maturity. You've held back your voice and called it humility. But let's call it what it is, fear. And until you face that fear, the people who care the least will keep owning the most. You don't need to become cruel, but you must become clear. Clear about who you are, clear about what you want, clear about what you'll no longer tolerate. Because the moment you get clear, people will resist you. They'll question you. They'll question you. They'll call you arrogant, difficult, intense. And that's how you know you're on the right path. Because power doesn't come wrapped in applause, it comes wrapped in resistance. Let them talk. Let them misunderstand. Let them leave. Because what's waiting for you on the other side of obedience is freedom. And what's waiting on the other side of fear is everything you were born to do. You can keep being nice, or you can finally be powerful, but you can't be both.